Imagine beaming down to a Federation outpost on Cestus 3. You're looking forward to a gourmet dinner prepared by the Commodore's personal chef, only to find the outpost destroyed and just one survivor, who isn't the chef, by the way. So, no dinner? Really? And then, to add insult to injury, you're teleported to an unknown planet to fight to the death. So, let's travel to this remote planet, shall we? On PCZ TV.
PCZ TV.
Today's episode, Visit to Vasquez. This episode of Star Trek is rightly famous for many reasons, not the least of it being the first appearance of the Gorn. But it also features one of the world's most famous rock formations, Vasquez Rocks. You've seen it in westerns and comedies and sci-fi movies so much that it's become a classic location. Now, Star Trek didn't venture often outside the studio for locations, so let's just take a look at where the heck it is. Vasquez Rocks is a state park located to the north of Los Angeles. Now, for me, this is quite a drive, but it is a popular destination for Angelinos, so if you visit, you'll no doubt be sharing it with a bunch of other folks. Oh, this website also gives an overview of the site because it was also used for the location of Friday's Child, in addition to which a bit of shore leave. Of course, I only found this website after I got back. In this video, we'll walk in the footsteps of the Desilu crew in November of 1966 as they shoot this episode. Now, I did a detailed map of the shooting directions and promptly lost it in my computer. Awkward. But don't worry, I will give some roughly right directions to help you out. And once you get there, it'll be self-explanatory. Now, if you recall the size of the cameras and the lights and the crew that they used back in the day from the TW location, you'll immediately realize that moving crew and the kit was quite a chore back then. So in this location, the film crew pretty much stayed in the parking lot. So this roughly right approach to directions will be fine. Don't believe me? Well, see my previous video about the shoot in front of the cafeteria on Deneva, and you'll see that they didn't really move all that much. And like our visit to TRW Space Park, I'm no expert on 60s film cameras and lenses, so these replicated angles from my own camera are approximate. And another disclaimer, this visit was a few years ago. Honestly, it's hard to convince my kid to come along and help me shoot these locations, so it may have changed a bit since then. Okay, already. Let's get to the images. Let's start with a Google overhead to establish rough locations. Park in the upper lot if you can. Most of the shots are in this area, and shoot towards this direction with some variations. The camera pivots a lot. And we start off with... Okay, I lied. The first shot is not pointing towards the famous rocks. Jeepers, mister! This area covered in this shot is actually pointing a bit northish. It's changed quite a bit in the years because of rains, erosions, etc. But again, it's not towards the Vasquez Rock itself. Meanwhile, Kirk is like, what? And now we're pointing in the direction of the arrow. Thank you very much. We then move on to a face-off. It occurs in the parking lot. Yes, the road between the pair is the actual road into the parking lot. And when you say it that way, it feels like a bad episode of Cops, but you're looking roughly north at this point. And now we shift back to a wide shot. You can see a lot of the set dressing, including the famous foam rocks that they used. You'll be facing roughly west at this point. As an aside, one of the fun things to do in all these shots is to look at the shadows. Now, without looking at the shooting plan for the day, you can roughly tell what time of day they shot what. And, well, now that you know the location, of course. Now time for some shot fu. The most famous double-handed fist of death. And now the camera direction starts to pivot a bit to the right. Again, it's pivoting roughly north of the stage to capture this scene. And it pivots more, and we reveal the most famous Star Trek rock formation in the galaxy. The iconic, uplifted, alluvial sediments that became a screen hero by themselves. The next scene here, the camera pivots a bit, and Kirk falls. I will be merciful and quick. Just like everyone in the comment section of this video. Now Kirk is thinking at this point, why did I skip that chemistry class at the academy? And you should be thinking about the lighting. Note how dark it is and how it's artificially illuminated. This is either really early in the morning or really late in the day, and I'm too lazy to figure out which. If you know, be merciful in the comments. But these shots are all roughly in the same camera position, with it just pivoting around to capture different angles. So at this point in the story, the Enterprise crew are allowed to watch the proceedings, and we see Kirk skipping across the parking lot. This is one of those angles where they pivoted the camera away from the iconic rocks and towards the road in the parking lot that we saw earlier. And speaking of road, here is the Gorn, clearly standing in the road. Dude, this is LA, man. No one walks in LA. The locals will run you right over. So, again, very short video. We'll just end it here. Someone actually stitched together some of the scenes as a panoramic, which really helps illustrate how the crew moved the camera and demonstrates the key of the rotation, which I talked about earlier, which is great for a visitor because you don't have to hike much to replicate the angles. And yes, I totally stood in the same positions as Kirk for these shots and had my kid take my photo. And if you've watched this far, I suspect you would too. While you're there, you can also catch some of the other angles from some of the other Star Trek shows. I didn't, as I was focused on Arena, but maybe it's worth another field trip. Who knows, if I get enough likes in this video, maybe I'll brave the 405 freeway again. Again, short video. It was a lot of fun making the video, especially as my kids think I'm the only one interested in this. They're probably right. If you've been watching this far, I thank you.
Bye.
Transfer complete.